Of course. Hello? 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 Anybody there? Oh, Jesus, this guy doesn't know how to do shit. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting of March 7th, 2002. The first item we will take up is to review and approve the minutes of February 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just had a clarification. New business for the first Responders Day, was it the 14th or the 17th?
It was supposed to be the 14th.
Okay.
And then it was moved because it was
Subsequent to the meeting.
after the meeting because of I think it was Random Acts of Kindness Day.
Okay.
So.
You want to change the minutes to say the 17th then? Or no?
Can't do that. No. We said it was the 14th.
We said it was the 14th.
Okay.
Subsequently, it was changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? And we can vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, the next item will be public comment. So we'll entertain people. Come on up and...
Do you want me to just stand here? Or do I need to
why don't you come forward a little bit? We'll try to get it...
If you pull a chair up front of you.
Yeah, maybe get a chair and...
Yeah, I can just stand a quick minute.
Sure.
My name is John Troland. I'm from 55 Columbus Avenue.
Okay.
Which is in Hawks Nest. I just have a couple of comments regarding the Soundbrook Jetty and outflow, which, as you know, it's located at the end of Hawks Nest Beach.
Yeah.
And, many people, my neighbors and others in the community, were grateful that the matter has been on the agenda for months now, which it has been in each of your meetings. But it's kind of getting discouraging that we really haven't seen any progress. Really any progress whatsoever, really not even a lot of urgency when it is a kind of a serious matter in regard to the flooding and then the dangerous condition of the jetty itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're getting into spring, it appears kind of that the window of opportunity to do this repair, is lost. I mean, we're almost into we're in March now. People start using the beach very soon. Many of us are just left wondering what the plan is. Since this matter is on tonight's agenda, I'd just like to pose a couple of questions if you can address them when you get to that subject. One, maybe like who's in charge and who's taking the initiative on this project. If anyone in the community or if any of the beach groups have an issue, who we can reach out to. And when will there be some type of action plan in place that'll be shared with the community, the beach members, the association members, and things like that. And just my last concern is whether or not you intend to repair it during the beach season, wait till next fall, or is it going to be in the next budget for next year? Obviously, if there's large construction equipment on the beach in the middle of the summer, beach is not going to be usable. It would be unsafe at that point. So that's something of concern that a number of us have.
Very good.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, John.
Trolling.
Thanks, come forward.
Good evening. My name's Peter Doolittle, 65 Center Beach Avenue, and I'm the president of the Hawks Nest Beach Club Association. I do have a letter that I'd like to give to each of the selectmen regarding the Swanbrook outlet. Things we've talked about in the past, I kind of just summarized it all, and so I'd like to just give you each a copy of this. And so just some highlights of the letter. The urgency, the lack of urgency is a concern. We had the meeting on December 28th at the beach. So that's been about 9 weeks from now, up to now. And, it doesn't seem to be, I'm not sure if the certificate even got submitted that we talked about. Again, the timing of the repair, it would have to be done by Memorial Day, or it would have to wait till after Columbus Day. And again, the condition, we all know about that. And then the other thing I'd like to mention is the selection of materials for the repair. It's been mentioned in a few of the Board of Selectmen meetings that there's a sheet pile option on the table. I just want to go on record and say that, as an association, we're adamantly opposed to that. It is, to put sheet metal that will rust very quickly in a saltwater environment in a designated swim area is I use the word reckless. Again, my contact information's on this, as well as Ron Bianco, who's been in touch, working with him right along. So I also have a couple of pictures I'll just leave with you. Current condition of the jetty, and there's also some pictures of what that sheet pile looks like, and you can see how it rusts so quickly. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay.
Here it is.
My name is Ron Bianca, 53 Hawks Nest Road, Lyme, and I'm Vice President of the Hawks Nest Beach Club Association, and I'm here to support Pete's position on this.
Yeah.
Taking way too long to get this thing going, and we're concerned about getting it done before Memorial Day. If that doesn't happen, it probably won't happen until after Columbus Day. We get very busy with the summer season. And another major concern is there's some discussion about sheet pile or metal of some sort, and we're adamantly opposed to that. It's a swim area. We think it'd be dangerous for the people in the area. Rust, and of course, it's not very aesthetic looking. Anyway, those are my concerns. Thank you.
Okay, Ron.
Hi, I'm Nancy O'Brien, Treasurer of the Hawks Nest Beach Association, Center Beach Avenue. And, my concern is, same as everybody else's. We have a lot of families, and if you come down to the beach in the summer, you're going to see all the kids climbing on top of that jetty. No matter what we post that we don't want them in our emails going out to them, keep your kids off the jetty, but it doesn't. So if we're not going to get down there and get that finished by Memorial Day, maybe the town can put some signage up or do something to try to help keep the kids off there, because it is a big accident waiting to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt. It's in the worst shape it's ever been. So I just wanted to go on record to say that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anyone else? On the telephone, anybody wish to make public comment? All right. Very good. Okay, the next item is to review the human resource firms for the second phase of the project, or it might even be the third phase, but Michelle Noren, who's in the Selectmen's office, has done some work on this, and we have two proposals which we haven't fully vetted, but this one is from Cardis Larson, and the other is from the organization we've been using, the Human Resource Consulting Group. And so the broad outline is it would be to look at our HR assessment audit, if you will, an employee manual, and a number.
I can't hear you. It's your mic.
Oh, there you go. Okay. It would be looking at town policies, at the employee handbook, files, job descriptions, which have been done, and other practices that they are in synchronization with federal and state laws and so forth. I hope Michelle is on the phone here and she could elaborate a little bit. This is more of an informational thing and it's not action expected this evening. Michelle, are you on the phone?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so as you know, we started off by doing the job description review and salary study, which you were briefed on last week by the Human Resource Consulting Group. We're kind of itching to move forward to work on the other side of the HR solution. So actually what I was hoping is you would pick one of these tonight so that we could start moving it forward. The idea of doing an HR audit now is that, you know, there's probably 4 of us on town staff who are doing some HR-related work, but it's not really thoroughly coordinated. We're not sure who's doing what's kind of falling through the cracks. So to do an HR audit first will help us make a more informed decision about how to come up with an HR solution, whether that be we outsource some of the human resource work to a consulting company, what we can handle in-house. So when I had conversations with both of these consulting groups, you know, I mentioned that we also, you know, it would be great for them to be able to look at what expertise do we hold within the town right now, like what can we manage on our own, what do we need help with, and I think we need to know that information in order to make an educated decision on how to move things forward. The Curtis Larson proposal that you have, I did follow up with them today because they didn't mention anything about mileage in their cost, and they did tell me that mileage, they would not charge for mileage. You'll notice that in the top part with the bullet points under HR assessment audit, it says interview up to 3 employees. I did ask them if they can increase that to 4 if we go with them because there are 4 of us doing HR work. And they said, yes, that would only be an additional fee of around $247 to include another individual. And then you have the Human Resource Consulting Group's proposal. Their proposal, I know it appears like it's more in-depth. I think they just sort of stated things in a lot more detail than the Curtis Larson one, but they would be covering very similar things. I did ask them if they can give us a slightly reduced scope to help with the cost. They weren't really able to do that, but they did reduce the cost by $2,000 since we're already working with them on the other project. My recommendation would be to select Curtis Larson. I think it would be good for the town to have an experience with another HR firm, especially if we are going to be considering hiring a consulting firm to help us with HR in the future, if that's perhaps some of the outcome of the audit. It might be nice for us to have another experience. We also are continuing on with the Human Resource Consulting Group for them to provide the grades and steps update. So we do have a project with them that's going to be going on concurrently to this one. I know there's a large cost difference between the two. I'm honestly not sure how to explain that, but I'm happy to try to answer any of your questions.
Michelle, I have a question on Curtis Larson.
Sure.
Their timeline, there isn't one. And
they didn't. That's a great point. They didn't write it in here, but when I spoke with them, they said they would only need 3 to 4 weeks which is another benefit of them. Human Resource Consulting Group outlined an 8-week process. So if you guys did make a decision today and we were able to move forward, we would be able to have it complete sometime in April, which would be good so we can start getting the stuff moving.
Well, one constraint is that the appropriations, the money available for the work that was started on, the job descriptions, and that would include finishing that up with the grade levels and so forth. That's a total of $12,000, of which we've used $9,600. So we do not have a quote on finishing up the grade, that work. And we do have an additional $20,000 for HR consulting, which would be more of an ongoing, potentially an ongoing resource. Could be an individual or a company that could be in the background helping us out on various human resource issues. So in terms of what we would need to spend on this function, without knowing what this next step for the grade aspect, I don't know that there's going to be sufficient funds to fund that $4,000, much less the $10,500.
So are you saying that the grades were not included in their first quote?
Right.
And did we not get something in writing from them when we asked them to do those?
We did not get the figure on that. We had it for the first part of it, but
this is the meeting Mom's at.
So that's
I don't think there's any more.
That will have to be clarified as we go forward as to what that portion will be, and hopefully it'll fit within the
So none
funds.
of that $20,000 that we have in the HR
You haven't been here
line
for a
item
couple
could be used towards this, or no? Is that is being used towards
to
this?
make him dinner.
That $20,000 was budgeted for either an HR consultant or a part-time hire in last
For fiscal
before you
23.
and I got here. But could I ask the people that are on the phone if you could just mute your phones or your computers so that we can't hear your conversations at home? Thank you. So my concern is that we have two proposals, and they are, well, now they gave us a little bit of a discount, but we are talking a $6,000 difference, which if I had two estimates at home build me something, I would question how come they're so vastly different.
Right.
And maybe there's another HR firm that we should look at and ask them for theirs. Maybe there's a middle of the road, or I just think that there's got to be another HR firm in Connecticut that we could talk to. And I'd really like to know why there's such a vast difference in pricing.
Yeah, that's true. It is a big difference.
We had that same thing occur when we sought out the proposals for the salary study. We had one person come in at over $20,000, and then we had the Human Resource Consulting Group that came in around 9 or 10, and then another one that came in, I think, around 14 or 15. And it was hard to really understand why the highest proposal was so high compared to the others.
Well, then maybe what we could do is arrange some type of a phone meeting with them to understand where they're coming in from. Because
if they were the low one on the other proposal, you'd think they would still be competitive on this, unless, also the specifications, it's just like a construction job. If you have very tight specifications, then your bid should be fairly close.
Right.
If it's people going off on their own, creating their own specifications, it might be apples and oranges, so.
Well, so we maybe should look at what we requested them to quote on.
Yeah.
Because their interpretation maybe is different than what we're thinking. Or maybe they need more information from us.
Right.
What do you think, Matt?
It's definitely something we need to get done sooner than later, though. There's plenty of issues going on. We want to try to get new things in place here.
Well, I would think if we could get another proposal in the next week or two, or get some more answers, we could have a quick special meeting.
Yeah, we could.
10 minutes just to...
And in any event, probably if we got the aspect on the salary grade work, that would be a logical conclusion of what we started. And so we could get that in the ringer as well and see where all these things come out. Hopefully that could be done fairly inexpensively, but the Board of Finance is, I think, committed to this whole idea, and so I think if it was a matter of some additional work, but all right, well, I think that probably makes the best sense. And we aren't constrained by having to wait a whole month if something needs attention. Okay. All right, Michelle, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, supposed to be muted, we'll see. Okay. Let's see, the next item would be to consider the appointments.
Communication.
Excuse me, the letter, communications. Based on discussions that we heard with the school talking about the reason for their substantial discount on their medical, we were invited to send a letter to the superintendent asking that we might be considered, at least look at the program. It's Eastern Connecticut Health and Medical Cooperative. I don't know too much about it, but it's quite notable that the school budget, I think in the last 2 years, had some very impressive reductions in the budget for medical insurance that made the overall budget go down, and you're close to that.
I am.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, if last year there was a significant drop, year 2 there's another significant drop, is that kind of unusual in their estimation that you get 2 in a row, or just, I wonder why?
So at our community leaders meeting in February, Ian mentioned that when you sign into this co-op, the first year your rates will be, first of all, they're doing an assessment right now because we've asked them to do a quick assessment of what it would be. But once they give you your rates for next year, you're going to have a little bit of a higher rate than you normally would because it's your first year in. Then they assess the next year your rates will drop because they just want to quantify that your claims will not, like everybody didn't save all their surgery until they got into a new health group. That's all. So they just want to follow your claims for a year.
So the first year you should expect a reduction, the second year...
The first year you get what you get for your rate, and then the second year you should see a reduction.
Right.
So 23, 24, we'd see a reduction. I mean, we could see a reduction just by joining the group for next year.
Well, but the 22 budget, wasn't that helped by a reduction in medical insurance?
Ours has been going down ever since we joined the Board of Ed budget has gone down every year since they joined.
Mm-hmm.
So they've seen quite a reduction, and the co-op is doing very well. And the teachers seem very happy with their insurance. I haven't heard otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And it's a high deductible plan, right?
I think they give us, they said they would give us options.
Yeah.
You asked that question,
Yeah.
didn't you, Matt?
Yeah.
They would give us options.
Right. So we are communicating with the superintendent to learn more about the plan, and we'll see what the what's involved and whether it might be something that we could talk about. I know that we have a plan that's very welcomed by the staff, so we were sensitive to that, but we could also, I think the insurance agent, if you will, is going to speak to the Board of Finance about options, aside from this, what are the kinds of plans, because I think our plan is sort of a Cadillac plan, and obviously that's very desirable, but we owe it to ourselves to check it out. So
Well, they're both Anthem plans, so we do know they're both Anthem plans.
Okay, so we'll learn more about that when we get into it. All right. Now we get to the appointments. Okay, starting with the Conservation Commission, we have two recommendations. We have Nicole Cable to fill a vacant one-year alternate term ending in January of 23, and Tracy Russell to fill a second one-year alternate term ending in January of 23.
I make a motion to approve or appoint, Nicole Cobble to a one-year term ending January 2023, and Tracy Russell a one-year alternate term ending January 2023 to the Conservation Commission.
I will second.
All right, any discussion on that one? If not, we can vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is the Harbor Management Commission, Michael Barnes, who is an alternate, to fill a regular membership, which is vacant, a four-year term ending in January of 24.
I'll make the motion to appoint Michael Barnes to move from the alternate position to a regular membership to fill the vacant four-year term ending January 2024 on the Harbor Management Committee.
Second.
Commission.
Sorry, Commission.
All right. Okay. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next is the Lime Senior Center Board. We have two suggestions. We have Christine Gatoka to fill a vacant three-year term ending in June of 23, and Peter Lucchese to fill a vacant three-year term ending in June of 24. The Senior Center is on a little different time frame than the regular boards and commissions.
Yep. I'll make the motion to appoint Christine Gatakwa to fill a vacant three-year term ending June of 23, and Peter Lucchese to fill a vacant three-year term ending in June of 24 to the Lime Senior Center Board.
Second.
Okay. Anything further? All right, we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have the Water Pollution Control Authority that suggested Corey Bullock to fill a four-year regular term ending in January of 24.
I'll make a motion to appoint Corey Bullock to a full four-year term, regular term ending January 2024 to the Water Pollution Control Authority.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
And last, we have the Zoning Board of Appeals, Russell Fogg, to fill a vacant alternate two-year term ending November of 23.
I'll make the motion to appoint Russell D. Fogg to fill a vacant alternate two-year term ending November of 2023 to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
All right, very good. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tim, while we're on appointments, can I just make two comments?
Yes.
I guess we bypassed the Ethics Commission in February. Ethics Commission, Jane Cable and Jennifer Kendall have to be reappointed.
They appoint themselves.
Okay, so Jane said she thought we appointed them.
You should know better.
Well,
We went through a lot with that.
Okay.
That's the only, well, the Board of Finance does that to a certain extent as well, but ethics is, it appoints its own members and alternates, so that we'll have to, I'll get back to her as well.
Okay, can I also address the letter?
All right, we're back. Okay, so Halls Road, we'll just reiterate, the $45,000 request will come before a town meeting. We've scheduled that to be on the 21st. It's actually down in a new business. Edie, you'll be able to be present, I hope, at that meeting. And yeah, okay. And we, by virtue of the fact that in the winter, being a shoreline community with residents living out of town on money matters, they can vote on money matters. So we have to advertise in, I think, 3 papers other than the local one. So we'll get that set up. The Soundview sidewalks, a change order number 5 has been executed, which will get the work accomplished for the bus shelter and other improvements around that extra work. They will probably pick up the pace as the weather gets warmer, probably April, and bring it to conclusion probably by Memorial Day. Hopefully that's the correct statement. We'll see. And there are a few punch list items with the regular project that need to be done, but that seems to be in pretty good shape. So this will have our bus shelter and some other amenities around that area of the project. Next, the Soundview Sewers. There's been some big discussion with state and federal sources of funds trying to line up additional dollars to help out with the project. I think, as we know, there have been 2 bids received at 2 different time frames, and both of them are quite high. So it's thought that if we could access some federal money to augment what we have, that would help out a tremendous amount. The beach communities are doing more than just sewers. They're doing stormwater drainage, and they're doing road work within their own beaches. So they could use some additional assistance with some of those improvements. So we're hoping that that some of this will come to bear. We're also aware that the Route 156, which will have the force main pipe going from Portland Avenue over to East Lyme, the state of Connecticut would like to get that, finish the repaving job of that from Halls Road here to East Lyme. And so we're hoping that that work will not proceed until we can get this all figured out. Unfortunately, it's taken a lot more time than we would have liked, and of course, with the current conditions, the pricing is not favorable. You know, it seems like all the supply chain issues are with metal pipe and everything else. It's a tough one. So, if there could be some additional sources of funds, and I know the 3 beaches and the WPCA are working very hard at trying to line up some additional funds to help out. Next is the Ferry Road sidewalk. We've had conversations with 2 homeowners who are adjacent to some tree work, where I think at this point it looks as if there would be 3 trees of a more significant nature that would have to come out, and 2 small ones out of the, I think it's close to 20 trees. We've been working with the engineer on trying to protect the tree roots with a variety of work. They call it tree spading and root pruning and so forth. But it's very difficult when you have tree trunks that are on very mature trees that are adjacent to the sidewalk, when you have to put a base under a 5-inch slab of sidewalk, it's very difficult to avoid damaging the tree roots. So we think, except for three larger trees and 2 very small trees, we can avoid and save all the rest. The tree warden will likely post the trees slated for removal in the near future. We will be scheduling a public hearing after that, and that can serve the purpose of people wanting to talk about specific trees, as well as updating anyone who comes to the hearing just about the project, because we have had direct conversations with the residents along the street, but we haven't had a public information meeting for other people. So that will likely occur either in later March or perhaps early April. The engineer recommends that the work commence after Labor Day and get the summer season out of the way, and because obviously if they're working along the side of the road, it's going to create an inconvenience, and during the summer that wouldn't be very helpful. Now,
can I ask a question?
Yes.
I know we have a grant for the sidewalks. I know you have a grant, but do we have a budget for this project? And if so, how much have we spent so far for engineering?
I'd have to look back and see what we spent on engineering. The original budget was, I think it was $124,000, something like that. I have to get my file, and then there was engineering was part of it, and then construction.
Okay.
That will need to be revised because the tree work will be a factor at this point. So I think the engineer will need to help us freshen up the bid. We still have the steep grant, but it might be that was submitted as a $150,000 package, which was $126,000, I think, for the steep grant and $24,000 from the town. So if we have some additional work, we'd probably have to increase the amount of the town contribution, because I don't know that we would want to try to change the steep grant at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Swan Brook. This has been a difficult one. I think at this point we are looking to replace the wood crib pretty much the way it has been in the past. I think there's been a lot of negativity about a sheet pile, and while it would be more long-term, it may be that what we do will be somewhat of a temporary nature, because I think between the sewer project in Miami Beach putting in a lot of stormwater drainage, there's been some conversation that there may be some modifications within Miami Beach for the stormwater drainage, such that there could be a bigger plan for the Swan Brook itself. So we've been talking with Macknick Brothers, who they've replaced and repaired the crib, I think at least twice over the 20 years. And I have yet to see a proposal from them, but I understand that they have worked up something at the request of the engineer. So I think the job, one big question is whether the pilings can be reused or whether they have deteriorated over time. And the quick reaction was, well, the pilings might be sufficient. And that would be helpful, because you'd have to remove and insert new pilings if that were not the case. So I think I know that DACO he left a phone message that the paperwork is essentially ready to go. I just need to sign something, which I need to catch up with whatever that is, and then get that into the DEP. And if we can talk with someone at the DEP, maybe we can expedite saying this will be maybe the third time we've repaired the wood crib, and just sign off on it if you please. So we'll see if we can expedite that, because we know everybody's eager to have this thing done by Memorial Day. But it may be that in the long run there'll be a different concept than the wood cribbing. It could be that I know in some of the discussions there was to be perhaps a ditch type thing made along the border of Miami Beach that would redirect the brook a little bit at the north end, and so, but that we don't want to pursue at this point, because that would be a permit period of perhaps 18 months to get that accomplished. And you see from the pictures, this thing is dilapidated. And I think when the wood crib was functioning properly, the sand didn't block into the pipes the way it is now. And so hopefully if we could restore that, the drainage would be better than it is right now.
So you just have to sign the application for the permit?
Yes.
And it's set to go? It's set to go?
He said he has it ready to go, and then if we have, we can see what the MACNIC bid is if we determine that we want to look elsewhere as well. We could do that, or we could consider it as like a sole source thing, since they did it a couple of times and they probably have the blueprints on it. But we'll evaluate that. So I think we can hurry up this thing, and if DEP can cooperate, that would be terrific.
So I know that it would be wonderful to look at a long-term solution, and you said that I understand that it's going to take a while for that permit, but shouldn't we sort of be working on these things concurrently so that we... Well,
we can. I know that the three beaches in conjunction, Fuss & O'Neill is working on their behalf, an engineering outfit, and they have been talking about possibly major drainage improvements in Miami Beach. And so if that whole thing could be incorporated into a larger project with federal dollars and so forth, it may be that, depending on the timing, it may be that if we could get this thing fixed, and it was a year or 2 years to get the big sewer project underway, this would do a stopgap until then, because this is really a bad situation, and I don't think we can wait for the bigger solution with all the permitting and everything else.
So I just want to make sure I understand this. So we're going to do the quick fix to get it through this next season, and then...
Or two, yeah.
Yeah, and then what you're hoping is with their other project, we would incorporate the long-term solution to the Swan Brook into that.
Yes.
And hopefully get more grant money.
If for some reason that was not an option through the sewer project, stormwater project in Miami and so forth, we could also evaluate an independent solution for Swan Brook without the sewer project. It would be the same scope, perhaps, but just not through the same channels.
We have a bidding policy, correct?
Yes, it's $25,000, then it goes to $75,000. I think there are different thresholds. So depending on where the MACNIC comes out, it it could be, you know, we could still explore other contractors just without the formal process of advertising and so forth.
Because you think it's going to come in under 25?
I hesitate to say.
You're praying it's coming in under 25.
I hope so. Because I think before it was not that expensive. I don't know, Peter, do you recall what the prior fix was, or Ron?
The big repair, I think it was 2010, it was 20 grand.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can reuse the piling, you're talking large timbers and big bolts and stuff, so it worked, but it wouldn't be.
Oh, I've been there. I was there yesterday.
Actually, that 20 grand, I think, included the cement bulk. So all we're talking about is wood.
Yeah, yeah. And it might also, there might have to be some rotor rooting of the sand in the western pipe, which is perpetually clogged, it seems. So, but hopefully we can get it up to DEP quickly and press upon them the urgency of it.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, the next item is the American Recovery Plan. Martha's on that committee, and we can hear what has to be heard.
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. So last week, as you know, we've been working on how to go about working with applications for projects that might want to be considered for the ARPA funding. And last week at the ARPA committee, one of the things that we've been waiting for is for RiverCog to come across with some, they were supposed to go out for referrals to groups or individuals that would help us with administrative assistance as far as applications, reviewing applications for projects, so that they'd be doing some of the administrative work. And from what we learned last week, or 2 weeks ago actually, from Dave Roberge, that RiverCog had decided not to do it because most towns had already moved ahead and had hired their own people. There wasn't enough interest to do a group type of thing. So I am seeking the approval of the Board of Selectmen today to go into contract with Mr. George Krivda. Last week, Mr. Krivda met with the ARPA committee, and what we would be using Mr. Krivda for, he's already worked with the town of Somers and East Windsor on their application process. We would be changing the application a little bit more because we want to incorporate government applications as well for projects that we want to do as the town. So the application would be one piece of paper, but there would be 2 ways to apply. Mr. Krivda would only he would help us develop the application, but then he would be working with us on the applications for the small business and nonprofits on their lost revenue that happened during COVID. Those would be applications that they would fill out and request. At the present time, we're thinking that those and we're going to vote on this, but I believe our cap would be $10,000 for each individual small business if they had revenue loss during COVID of $10,000. So he would work out the application. After the applications would be done, ARPA would go out and we would solicit businesses to apply. And there would be a cap on this, Tim. There would be a certain cap, and that we'll have more information. But we'd like to get the application going because we're really dragging our feet on this. And we have an April end of April reporting date. So we would like to get some motion going forward in this. He has done so much work with Somers and East Windsor, we're actually saving money because he's already done all the groundwork. So it's basically, we just need to, as far as doing the application, Phil Parkek and Dave Roberge have already done some of our groundwork. So we're going to save a ton of money with Mr. Krivda at that point because we're going to basically incorporate the government issues with what we want, and it should go very smoothly within 2 weeks. His rate is $125 an hour, which is what he was charged for summers in East Windsor as well. But he guarantees you that he will not go over, not only after he does that, but then once the applications go out, he will work with the applicants for the small business and the nonprofits to make sure that they qualify, that all their paperwork is correct, and everything is just the way it's supposed to be, so that we will not have problems when we go to report ARPA findings to this government. Then he will make a recommendation to the ARPA committee on who he feels would qualify. We would then take those recommendations from him and make them to the Board of Selectmen. They're not handing any money out to anybody. We're not at that point yet, but we do need to get this application process things moving. There's also this application we would put out to the groups that have requested money via email. Some people have come before the group, but they would have to fill out the appropriate paperwork so that we will have the correct reporting information.
So, is he a single entity?
He is.
So if he had, the initial announcement and he's got 30 or 40 or 50, he'd just have to work through it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And he said basically, our timeline is this: 2 weeks for the application to get it ready. Then we get it out there to the public. We'll have 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks, where the committee will do outreach to the community to let them know it's ready, outreach to the government and the various commissions so that they'll know it's available. And then after that time, the committee will work with the government side of things, applications, because it's in-house. But for small business, we felt it's very important to have someone who's very unbiased in town and to come up with and review those for the small business and nonprofits. He would review those, make his recommendations. He will put everything together in a binder, and in the end, we get the binder with everything so that we'll have that backup for the federal government.
So he would be sort of like a bank credit department. He'd do a credit report or, examine the thing.
He's going to examine their statements from their losses during COVID. He'll make sure that they actually qualify. Mm-hmm. And he's done an extremely thorough job for summers in East Windsor. And as you know, administrative costs do come under ARPA, so we can use some of the ARPA funds to do this.
I mean, similar to the HR thing that we do, this is just one person's quote. I mean, do we have any other people that are also ever roached ARPA or anything like that? Or
we went out and looked because Cheryl and I first heard of Mr. Krivda at the CCM conference in December? Yeah. In December, and we tried to get some names from RiverCog, but they're just not. It's very difficult to find someone who wants to do this kind of work. A lot of towns are doing it themselves. But we don't have the resources.
Oh, no. And you wouldn't want to put yourself in that kind of a position.
Especially when you're dealing with businesses that are local and local people. Yeah. And so...
Yeah, now the COG was working with the Middlesex Chamber State Committee. That hasn't gelled. Is that the problem?
I think that's going to be more for reporting purposes.
Well, as I understood it, it sounded like there was Mr. Pugliese, and he does this underwriting thing at the Middlesex County. So it sounded like they had but I don't know, I could ask Sam what happened, but it sounded like that would be the underwriting function, but done through Middletown, so not sure. Okay.
We didn't get anything from that from Sam when Dave asked him. So
would you try to establish a dollar amount maximum for the
Yes,
program?
it says that right here.
Paragraph.
It's in the second
20
paragraph.
grand. Comes up to 160 hours, right?
Yeah. $125 not to exceed $20,000.
No, I'm not talking about his fee. I'm talking
sorry.
about the maximum dollars to be devoted to, say,
Small business.
small business.
We are going to have that for you on Wednesday.
Because when you talk about town meeting, hopefully we ultimately would have groups of dollars associated with groups.
And that's exactly what we hope to do for you for
Yeah.
this Wednesday.
And then if we get town meeting approval on that, then we don't have to go for specific requests each time. So that'd be wonderful.
Right, and that's the nicest part about,
Yeah.
and so that's where we are, but we need to start to figure out what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone who's already approached you and applied will have to reapply with a new application? Each application different for type of business, or is it all one?
Basically, it's going to say two sides. It's going to say government,
Yeah.
and it might have subcommittees, like maybe it's under infrastructure, broadband, whatever.
Yeah.
On the other side, it's going to be small business, nonprofit, revenue loss, and they just have to check that box.
What about individuals, just regular individuals, like? I'm saying an individual can't apply?
There are individual small business
DBAs.
where it's just one person for the small
Right.
business in town. Say again? I'm sorry.
DBAs, doing business as.
Right.
Yeah.
They can apply under that as well.
Now, he's going to be looking at the municipal request?
No.
No.
Our committee is going to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, will he be doing work for these other two towns concurrent with us?
He's already done with them.
Oh, really?
He's finishing up summer.
Okay, so he'd be ours for the period. And it would
And
be...
he doesn't have any interest in doing any of the government applications. He doesn't want to get into that.
Yeah.
And he's worked for the state. As you can see from his resume, it is attached. But he served under Dan Malloy. As he said, I was the only chief of the agricultural department. I was a Republican, and I worked under Dan Malloy. So he says something about the way I work.
Good. So he's not employed at this
He is
point?
now semi-retired.
Okay.
He's doing consulting work.
All right, so he could devote his full attention to Lyme's situation.
At the present time.
Okay, so what do you need from us?
Basically, just approval to enter into an agreement with him, and then we'll have more information on Wednesday as far as breaking down what we think should go. And then if we have to have a special meeting, we can, to approve that. I know it probably won't be in time for you, what you have to want to get out for town meeting, but it would definitely be ready for the town meeting on May 16th.
Yeah, that's the next scheduled one.
Right, so we could do that at the same time, hopefully.
The budget meeting, yeah. That's probably the third week in May.
I think it's May 16th. I looked at the calendar.
Okay.
May 16th, town meeting.
Okay.
And he doesn't want any payment until he's done with the project.
But he'd probably give you a not to exceed, so I guess if you get a land office business, you'd be capped. That'd be helpful.
You can be sure I'm going to watch him like a hawk.
Okay. Yeah, well...
think about it. He's going to get the application done hopefully within, he said it would probably be less than a day's work once he talks to Phil and Dave. They work it out. He doesn't need to type the application. We can have someone do that here if we have to. In fact, I think
It'd probably
Phil...
be almost like a standard bank application for financing, wouldn't you think?
It's a little different. There's some questions you have to answer. But I will be able to show it to you.
Yeah.
I actually have a copy. I should have brought the one that they had for Summers. He did sign it. And then also the other thing is that he did come up with is that when you give anyone the money, they have to sign off and say, A, we received it, and 2, this everything we had said in our application is true. So they're signing off. So that also.
Is there any kind of a follow-up downstream with the borrowers, not borrowers, but the grantees?
There may be.
Maybe by the federal government of an audit.
You'd think after a while they would report back and say, kind of like on Shark Tank, you know, we've done this and this, and we're...
I was talking to someone at the state level the other day, and they said, let's think about this. There's 169 towns in Connecticut, and plus there's money that went to the state. And the federal government, I think they're going to maybe pick 2 out of certain areas and say, okay, we'll audit you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what their interpretation was from the state, because I don't think it's going to be possible for the federal government to audit every single town.
Has the committee seen what responsibility the town has for downstream stuff in terms of monitoring it? Do we have an obligation? And once we get the money out the door, then...
So Nicole is on that and has been following all the new regulations that are coming out.
Yeah.
And she'll do the first report at the end of April.
So if we approve this or make a recommendation, then the Board of Finance has to approve it tomorrow night as well? So that was our discussion before about anything going through both, right? Is that the proper procedure we just agreed upon the other day, I thought?
Sure.
Or because it's under 20,000, we don't have to do that?
It will be under 20.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but because we had talked about it at the Board of Finance.
Right, yep. We can do either way.
Well, we could advise tomorrow, we could advise the Board of Finance that we've taken the step. I mean, the money is not coming out of the town budget, so it's not an appropriation as such. But I think we will obviously keep them in the loop and understand periodically how much we're doing and all that sort of thing. So, and of course, Summers and Windsor, East Windsor spoke highly of their experience.
East Windsor did a presentation at CCM, and then from that, Summers heard it as well at CCM. Jason Boswa is the first selectman in East Windsor. Mm-hmm. And Jason had worked with George at one time at the Connecticut State Department of Agriculture, and knew that they had worked on a huge grant and had done the application for the grant at that time many years ago. And he knew that George had the experience working with grants, filing correct paperwork, etc. And he did his small business loans immediately as soon as he got his first allotment of the ARPA funds, because he wanted to help his small businesses in town. So they got that going like within a month or 2.
Where does he live, actually?
George?
Wait a minute.
Middle Haddam.
Oh,
Haddam.
Middle Haddam, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, close by.
He came down last week and presented and answered all the questions. He was here for about 45 minutes to an hour with us, the committee. And everyone on the committee had a chance to interview him, talk to him.
I guess I'll make a motion for the Board of Selectmen to approve the ARPA committee to go into a contract with consultant George Krivda.
Yep, very good.
Amount not to exceed $20,000 for consulting fees regarding the American Rescue Plan for town of Woodline.
I'll second.
Very good. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, we can vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, that's good to get that moving.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, new business. Boy, we've been waiting for this one for a while. Hopefully it'll hang in there. A vote to make wearing masks in town hall optional. We're all...
Can we make a motion?
Oh boy, would you?
I'll do it effective as of tomorrow.
Sure.
I'll vote to make a motion that
Well,
we're...
6:41 tonight.
Yeah, take it off.
Right.
Let's let it get to press first. I will make a motion that we will change our town hall will change their ordinance to wearing masks to optional, beginning effective March 8th at the opening of business at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.?
That's when you open the doors, don't you?
I thought you said 10. 9?
Did you say 10 or 9?
9 a.m.
Okay.
A second?
Yes. I don't know if it's an ordinance per se. I think I heard the word ordinance.
Policy.
So just change our
Policy.
procedure to be mask optional.
I'll amend the motion.
Okay.
Policy.
Procedure. Yeah. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, sorry.
Very good, wonderful. Okay, next item is the special town meeting. We have the Halls Road item, $45,000. We also have a ledge light request through ARPA, and I'm still trying to get that rounded, but I guess...
You're the one who likes to go to the penny.
Might give them a little more, who knows. So the ARPA funding for ledge light will be on it as well. All right, anybody think of anything else that needs attention for the agenda?
When you pause the road.
This thing can't be added, right? The thing we just voted on, that's not time enough. If the Board of Finance approves it tomorrow, then could we add that to the agenda for the 21st?
I don't think the Board of Finance has to.
No, I'm saying, because this, what we just discussed, the ARPA thing, that could add in.
It could, but that's up to you guys.
No, I'm just, I mean, if it's, what are we waiting for?
We could add, like you say, it's spending up to $20,000 on this consultant, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably in the same bucket as the $21,000 for ledge light. It's obviously a different thing, but in terms of using money out of the ARPA fund, it's a commitment, and there'll be many other things coming along, but I guess we could entertain incorporating the George Krivda.
Actually, I'll have more information for you on Wednesday, but you need to get this to, when do you need to post?
I think we could make a third item to be what we moved in our motion, that we just add that as number 3 for the town meeting, just to cover us by expending money on it.
Do we still, oh no, we're all done with that. We're done with the sidewalks. We don't have to go to sidewalks. We're good.
Do you mean the Ferry Road?
I don't see the sense to wait, you know?
We did
That's already gone to
we did that
town.
last time. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just, sorry, checking off the boxes.
Well, let's put it on, and if for some reason it's decided that's
when
not
are
a
you
good...
going to press?
Well, we need to be minimum 5 days, so I would say toward the end of the week we would get something roughed up to the papers. So it'll be after your meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, if any changes on Wednesday, let us know, but if not, we'll include it.
We can come in for
Yeah.
special meeting if we have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is that noise?
I have no idea. It could be the camera.
High-pitched thing over there.
Sounds like the hand. Could be the...
So do you want to include the Krivda
Correct.
matter?
I think Matt feels more comfortable.
I don't see the need to wait.
And if we don't need it, we can always just say we're not considering that.
So can we start with him? That's the big thing, is we're trying to... Do I have to wait till a town meeting?
I think he's probably got a few things to do before we actually spend money. We're not paying him or anything.
Not yet.
Yeah.
It's okay. We can do it. Roll it along.
Tell him if he wants to start working, it's okay, but he doesn't get paid till the end, like you said, so.
Right. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
For the town meeting, do you need a presentation from Halls Road about the monies? Is that what I need to do?
I would say an abbreviated one, Edie. I don't think we have to have a big PowerPoint and everything else. I think it's been discussed a good bit, and it could be like a 5-minute thing.
Just the money, the kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Well, I think we can have it in here,
Yeah.
because I don't think the items are that sophisticated that we need to school. Yeah, so, we have this thing if you want to put anything up, or if you just want to talk in general terms, we have the outline and so forth, so, yeah.
We can show it on here, Edie, if you bring it in on a computer. If you bring your computer, we can just hook up your computer to it.
Bring it and plug it in and do it, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Come early. I might need to help you do it.
Don't look at me. Okay, so the town meeting, we have the Halls Road for $45,000, Ledge Light for $21,622,
And Mr. Kribda, and possibly,
and Cribda.
and maybe something else. Maybe more information from ARPA,
Yeah.
depending on the meeting.
Okay, so I think it would be appropriate to have a motion for the 3 items to go to town meeting
Yep.
from us.
All right, I'll make a motion for the special town meeting on March 21st, 2022 at 7:30 PM at Town Hall to include the Halls Road Improvement Committee, $45,000, the Ledge Light, ARPA funding of $21,622.15, and the ARPA funding for a consultant of George Kribda, not to exceed $20,000.
Very good.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. The next item is the Public Works contract, which has been under negotiation for some time. I checked with the labor attorney, and this version is the latest version and acceptable to the Public Works Union and hopefully the Selectmen. The way it works is that we would sign with the, I guess I would be authorized to sign the contract on behalf of the town of Oline, and then the union president would sign on behalf of the union, and then the attorney for the union would sign as representative of the union itself, the parent union. So this contract would go from July 1, 2021 through June 30th of 2025. And I'll touch on some of the salient points here. Let's see, the wage scale effective July 1 of 21 would be a 2.5% increase. July 1 of 22, a 2.5% increase. July 1 of 23, 2.5%, and July 1 of 24, 2.25.
And that includes retro from...
Yep. Right. Goes back till...
Yep.
Yeah. list there. And let's see, I'm trying to find out where the health insurance.
That wasn't it on the last page?
Excuse me?
It wasn't the last part? I saw some wage type of thing.
Yeah, usually it might be a schedule. Let me find out what the insurance. Okay, so the copay on insurance, it starts out at the town pays 83%, and then the employee pays 17%. That's through June 30th of 22, and then June, effective July 1 of 22 through June of 25, it's 82% and 18%. So that covers the contract period there, 18%.
And what is it for the last 2 years of the contract?
Well, that goes through June of 25.
Okay, so
that's
only 1 year,
3
17.
year,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
And we get into minutia like Osha Physicals, because if they're CDL, you have to have a more expensive physical than normal. So we have some language in there that we would, because it was silent on that, and so if somebody went to the doctor to get a OSHA physical, first of all, you have to go to a special place to have that, and then if the allowance was less than the cost of the physical, they ended up going out of pocket. So we set a maximum, which is above what it is, that we know what it is, and if it over time, if it exceeds that, then that'll happen. But we bumped it up so that they should stay whole for a good bit.
So is there a cost in the contract?
Yeah.
Is it up to what?
Let's see. I should have had my cheat sheet on it because I had things synthesized. I'll look up on the 10. Could be insurance again.
Yeah.
Should have brought my...
Do you want me to scan it quick? Look at it quick? Maybe I can find it.
Oh, okay, let's see. Okay, the town shall reimburse each full-time employee an amount not to exceed $150 per year to reimburse the cost of the required DOT physical exam if substantiated by a receipt. If the union can substantiate there's no medical provider that will provide such physical exam for $150, the town will discuss the issue upon request with the union in July of any contract year. And I think they're being done now for $100 through one source. So that hopefully will not become an issue.
So that was the only changes?
Well, there are some, I think there's some, there were some specific changes on, like if it snows and the town hall staff is called and the public works obviously works, if it's a full day, they would get a comp day for some time else because they have to work regardless.
Okay.
Standard practice.
There are a few things. There weren't a whole lot of issues I think we had. And then I think there was a sick time payout was graduated.
Scaffolded by the number of years that they worked for the town.
Yeah. Let's see. That's not it. Yeah. So
And that's something that was already in the contract, you just changed it a bit, right?
yes. Yeah.
Do we post our contracts online?
I don't know if it's online. Vacation. I think vacation's the same.
Whatever that meeting they had that night, they said they had a hard time finding some towns, some didn't.
Yeah. So upon separation of employment, sick time will be paid out at 5 years, 25%, 10 years, 30%, 15 years, 35%, 20 years, plus 40%. So I think those are the...
So you'd like a motion?
Yes, please.
So I'll make a motion to approve the Public Works Union contract and to have Tim sign it on behalf of the Board of Selectmen.
A second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to have me execute the contract. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Okay, we come to other business. I'd like to mention that the town uses MIRA, which is Materials Innovation and Recycling Authority in Hartford. It used to be Connecticut Resource Recovery, for the disposal of its municipal solid waste and recycling. And we've been hearing in the news that MIRA, the plant up in the South Meadows, the old Helco plant, could be closing this July. And as such, then about 700,000 tons of refuse in Connecticut would have to be trucked out of the state or to, I see the other burn plants and other sources in the state are not adequate for disposing of the trash in state. And of course landfills are basically almost non-existent. So the MIRA has just doesn't have the resources to do a huge job on modernizing the plant. And Hartford is not keen to keep it in Hartford. It's NIMBY type of thing. It's been there for a long time, but there's no appetite to keep it there. So MIRA is soliciting, I think it was something like 52 towns were members, and some have made announcements that they're looking or going to pursue other alternatives. But MIRA would like the towns to, for the remaining 5 years of their original 30-year commitment, to continue with MIRA so that they would have sufficient material to engage truckers and transfer station personnel, etc., to keep the show on the road. 80% is the number they would like to have at a minimum. So
80% of the 52...
Tonnage.
Oh, okay.
Not towns.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So I know a couple of them have made noise to pursue elsewhere, but we have not made a clear decision as yet. The rate they can't give us a rate for each year for 5 years, but they came out originally with $116 a ton for next year, 23. After considering, they actually reduced that to $111 a ton, and I believe we're paying $110 right now, so it's very close to what we're doing. And the recycling, the single stream recycling that we send is sent up at no cost. So that's a benefit because we have a volume of recycling that, the number is. So we've historically budgeted around 3,200 tons of municipal solid waste, and that is from the trucks, CWPM trucks that go around through the neighborhoods and collect the trash. For other non-residential customers, commercial, grocery stores, the bigger users, they can contract on their own with whomever. But CWPM does a fair business of that as well. So between our 3,200 approximately municipal solid waste and 1,200, almost 1,300 of single stream, that's what we have to contend with. But as I say, these other entities dispose of their trash at the same rate, the commercial. So we are aware that there are other alternatives, and we're looking into that, and no decision has been made as yet. But there will be a meeting of the member towns on the 16th of March, which if you'd like to listen in on that, you're welcome to do that, to hear the pitch.
Okay.
From Mira or somebody else?
It's noon.
Mira or somebody
Mira,
else?
yeah. And they may be able to shed light on who signed up, who's decided to leave, and who are still in the undecided category, because you got to the end of the month. So it's a very difficult situation because you'd like to have a sensible way of disposing of our MSW and recycling for that matter. There are other alternatives, and we need to evaluate that and make a decision by the end of the month. And as I say, I think pretty much, I can't imagine much can be dealt with in-state. So I think regardless of where you go, somebody's going to have to take it out of state in trucks, which is regrettable. I really think the DEEP should have worked harder to help Mira and all of us come up with a better plan than just hauling it out of state. And there's talk of the sustainable type activities of food waste can be taken to digestives. I think in the big picture these are worthwhile, but I don't think the volume would make such a difference that it would move the needle that much on what has to be trucked out of state. So, but we're going to have to make some decisions because in the end, people don't want to hear, they want to make sure that cart at the end of their driveway is emptied every week. And so if we, whether we stay with Mira or we go to a different vendor, we've got to make sure that we're confident it's going to work well. Now, if Mira pricing actually went up radically, there are opt-out provisions that would enable us to leave. And so I got to refine that because the letter it's hard to interpret exactly what they're saying. But, so I think we need, between the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance, we will make a decision on this because it's a pretty significant step. And if we leave Mirror and favors a different contractor, we got to make sure that contractor will be with us for the long term. So, I think the call on the 16th will be fruitful. I'll be speaking to Mirror. We got a letter here recently, and some of the paragraphs, they're a little tough to make out exactly what they're saying, but we'll get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so March 16th, meeting somewhere around 12 noon possibly, and then we're going to have a special meeting then.
Yeah.
We're going to need to get this done before the end of the month.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, March 16th, 10 o'clock. Zoom.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Will you send us the link?
Sure. I haven't received it as yet, but, you know.
Okay.
And I'll try to craft something about the options so that we can review that before.
But we haven't pursued any other options, right? We didn't pursue any?
I've got some details, but not fully fleshed out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else on that for you?
I think that's a big one, but I think that's all for me.
Matt, you have any others?
Nope.
I have two. Just to bring you up to date, as you remember, at our last meeting on February 7th, we approved the EDC's request to have a shoreline gateway committee.
Yeah.
Which Mr. Ward and I are going to co-chair. I know he's excited. This is the charge of that committee. This is based, Tim, on what the proposal was by the EDC.
Okay.
I did run this by Cheryl and Howard as a rough draft. You and Matt can certainly, we could certainly put this on the agenda for next time if you want to change something in this. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, I would love it if we could advertise this and put it on board with Michelle so that we could start getting some applications for members so that we could approve those people at the April meeting.
Okay.
And get this going. And Mr. Ward and I can have a meeting on structuring.
Do you have an idea as to the number of members recommended?
Well, there are certain people that they would like. Every beach needs to have a member. I've listed it all down here below.
Okay.
So tying it out, and we do need to discuss how we will bring in, I have some ideas as far as how we can bring in the business owners for a portion of it. And also, we need to have some residents from the beaches.
Yeah.
But basically, I can read this out if you'd like for the minutes. Actually, I'll give this to Suzanne, and she can put it in the minutes.
Good.
But I know Matt said it was important that we try to include a few people from other parts of town just so that other voices are heard. And we can do that as well. And then I certainly hope that we would do some type of EDC said that we can use their survey because they're, hold on, I'll get the word. They have a contract with a survey company, so it's not up, so we can use.
Survey Monkey?
I don't know if it's Survey Monkey. They used another one.
Oh, right.
But they still have their contract, so we can use them to develop a survey of our own and run it through them. Mm-hmm. To get people's feedback as well. And we had such great participation from town for the ARPA survey that I hope that we would get the same for this.
Do you believe this group will need any funding?
Won't be approved?
70.
Didn't they approve $1,000 at the Board of Finance for it?
I think that's what I recall. I think
1,000, I think.
Sustainable.
We put 1,000.
Yeah.
I think for right now, I think that's ample.
Yeah, probably.
As we move in you know, I don't think this is a committee that's going to be over and done in a shorter period of time. So we may have to...
No life term.
Indefinite. Indefinite.
I mean, just between us and all the people here, you're looking at about 14 people right off the bat. At least the ones you identified.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we both know, it will start strong.
Yeah.
And...
Is off a little bit.
Yeah.
But at least you invite them and ask them to participate, and that's what's important. They feel that I've already had somebody from one of the beach communities reach out and say, where's the application? I'd like to apply.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that if we could get this going within the next week, it would be nice. And Matt and I can reach out. I'm happy to reach out to the beach associations and tell them this is coming and that we would like them. But just let me know in the next day or two if you have any issues with that charge. But basically, I took everything off of what the EDC had proposed to us. It was pretty much a cut and paste and just a rewording on the objectives.
Okay, well, good job. All right. Do you have another item as well?
Oh, will you just send out a reminder to commissions and committees to somehow make their meetings as possibly virtual as possible, whether it's listening in. I think we only have 1 or 2 committees at this point who still are not able, and we do have people who are not venturing out yet. So if we could reach out to them again, and please make sure that on your meeting agendas that you're putting on how to attend virtually in some sort of a way.
Right, yeah, this phone is here only, so like there's not a redundant one upstairs.
No, but we did have that WebEx, like when we used the WebEx the other night, it worked really well for that presentation, and that was
Well, people have to be trained to do it within the committee, because before we were having Michelle Warren start it up and hang around and held hands, so that got pretty expensive. So
I am happy to provide professional development to your committee members, commissioners, whoever.
Yeah.
You teach me, I'll teach them. This isn't rocket science.
Yeah. After Zoom, I guess people do that drop of a hat.
Drop of a hat. So easy. I think it's easy.
You get hacked.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? All right, then I think what we could do would be to have executive session for the last thing. And so the executive session would be the 3 selectmen. And we could discuss whether we want to have any other guests involved.
I was on my way out.
You're all set.
I usually leave now.
Yeah.
Second session.
So I
to invite.
Yeah, I think anybody who isn't involved should be in attendance, and then we have a discussion, and then we could ask them to leave and have some more discussion. I think that's more than fair, if they're willing to do that.
So we would ask.
Okay, so, excuse me?
So we would ask Mr. Adante to attend?
We could, for the initial part of it, yes.
Okay.
So we would go into executive session at 7:15 p.m. and it would be to discuss personnel matters, and it would be the selectmen and Ed Adante initially. We have a motion for that?
Make a motion?
Second.
Okay. Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So we will stop the recordings and carry on.